You want me to let it shake on camera?
Let it shake. This is what we're dealing with. All right. So thank you for adjusting what data we're looking at, because I think this will be more helpful in the long run. So I had block 2, and we'll use them as a representative set, but you probably can speak to more data. Whoop, whoop. So let's start with some successes. Now, we don't have a success yet, but I will say that the last time you saw the standard was in lesson 4. And even though Illuminate was kind of tricky as far as the shows with exit tickets, you did really good. Your grade book is so well done. Like, it's from like the first week of school. So I actually was able to go into your grade book and pull the grades.
I didn't get that for no reason.
You surely did. So I was able to pull your grades from lesson 4 and kind of get some averages. So the last time kids saw RI 6.7, they had like around 67.5% mastery. And it looks like block 3 was your strongest block. And then block 1 had 73%, block 2 63, which is the block I actually looked at. And then we have block 1 here at 50%. So when I looked at their data holistically, just out of block 2, 7 kids mastered it, meaning they got part A and part B correct. And 19 kids did not. So
half or 0.
Yeah, so you were correct in assuming that this was not a strong exit ticket for us. And I think it's after looking at the end of the module and seeing what you were talking about, we definitely have to get this right before they take this
that
test.
String in the middle there.
Just a chart just ready for them. So let's look at RI 6.7.
But that is a mean question in and of itself, though.
But I actually, when we get into it, I was like, why didn't y'all get this? We'll see. I'll show you.
What, for this exit ticket?
Yeah. I was like, come on, y'all. Like,
no,
but I know why they didn't get it.
It was question fatigue. Too many words.
Yes, and when I read through it, I was like, there's one concrete specific skill that I think we focus in on that they'll be fine with.
Okay.
So if we look at RI 6.7, the standard itself, what do kids need to know and do roughly to get the standard correct? Thinking about what they have to do on the exit ticket. So you know what the standard is. Look at the task of the exit ticket and tell me, with that framing, what do kids need to know and do?
They need to understand how to differentiate between fully incorrect and half incorrect options. And
Good old test taking.
One.
Okay.
So yeah, definitely test taking skills.
So both parts of a question have to be correct.
Yeah.
Okay. And when we talk about looking at information from text, media, graphs, pictures, what else do you need to know?
They need to know how to interpret it.
Yep. Yep.
AKA the yes line is at 60, the no line is at 40, so more people wanted it than didn't.
Interpret information from graphs, pictures, numbers. Yep. Actually, that's a do. I have it in
Actually.
What are you about to say?
Honestly, words like favored, in favor.
Okay. Need no.
So is that kind of what vocabulary regarding the question? And when you have phrases like very few or large majorities, and
yes.
what on a bar graph constitutes those things? Very few or large majorities.
That's a really good catch, Luke.
Because to me, to us, it might be like a no-brainer, but to them, it's not really helping them find the correct answer.
Very good. I like that one. Yeah, so these are their no's. The only thing I might have added to that, and it wasn't, nope, I won't even add that because it was more the standard itself, but they didn't necessarily have to do, I put combining details from different sources as confirms or challenges understanding, and that came from the weekly exit ticket, the weekly lesson plan, but I'll leave it there. All right, what about did you answer the do's or did we just live in the no's just now?
That was the no's.
Okay. What did kids have to do to get this right? One of them you did say is they had to be able to understand that when a question is including multiple things, like both of these things have to be correct. Yeah. What about when you think about text features themselves?
What does that do? Not a no. I think another no would be in something that I saw some swings and misses at is just understanding what text features are in the first place.
Yeah.
Anytime something asks you about text features, it's usually subheadings, graphs.
Text features
images.
Are very good, ... And then with that being said, one of the do's was pulling that information from these text features. In particular, like, when I first read this, I was like, oh, one of the do's is going to be they need to understand how to pull information from headings. But then I got into your question, I was like, oh, it was the graph. Like, the graph was the major text feature they focused on. And I know when they see this in 5th grade, it's normally like headings, subheadings, captions, and stuff like that. So this might have been a little new for them. All right, let's move on. So let's look at the actual exit ticket. Part A. Which of these statements best characterizes how the majority of those Americans polled by the Pew Research Center felt about the government regulations during the Great Depression?
So you wanted to go to sleep halfway through it, didn't you?
So now when I read this question, I was like, okay, even though this is the multiple choice, so we don't have to write out an exemplar response, what exemplar thinking did you want kids to do when they read this question as they approached the correct answer, which should have been A?
Honestly, that's, to me, it's just look at the thing that proves, what thing on the graph proves which option. Only one of these options is accurate, and it's proven by the thing you're looking at.
Mm-hmm. So there's some steps you did naturally, but you read the question first,
yep.
and you understood exactly what information the question was asking you.
Yep.
So what information, kids are reading the question, what should have been solidified in their mind before they even looked at answer choices? I'm looking for information about...
I'm looking for who felt good or not good about these different choices.
Very good.
Good is in gray, bad is in black.
Yes, you said two things. Hold on. For good, not good, between these two choices. And then you need them to understand that when I look at this graph, I can read a key. The light gray is yes, the dark gray, or the black is no.
Yeah.
They need to understand the key. Now, I have that understanding. What should my process have been next?
You check the visual
Okay.
with the options.
Yes. So now I'm going to go through each one of these answer choices and match it. So when the kids looked at, we know A is the right answer. What should have kicked B out of the equation for them?
While they favored regulating social issues such as business profits, they did not want child labor regulated. Let's see. Oh, duh. This is the combination of these two. They didn't want it regulated. Limit child labor, 70. They did want it regulated. That should kick it out right there.
Yes, and let's pause on B, because the highest common wrong answer for this class set was actually, a lot of kids picked B, while a lot of me not, but we only tested like 23 of them. And I thought to myself, like, why? Because I had that clear process with you. What do you think about...
Because we emphasize that heavily in the class as far as the definition of regulation.
Okay.
To regulation is to limit or to oversee something, and child labor, which is still up on the board, that...
That's just a bad thing to just have up on your board in the classroom.
So that probably pushed them. I can imagine there were a lot of deer in the headlights looks at the wording of this, the text and the wording of the question. So once they saw child labor, they went for it.
Yeah.
I could see that being a...
Do they know what prohibit means? Because I'm just trying to break it down by like prefixes. I'm like pro and supportive.
We did.
So that answered that for me. Okay, so they means pro. Mm-hmm. They knew it means not. Oh, pretty cool. Okay, so they should have ruled out B. Then let's go down to C.
Very few were in favor of regulating food and drug advertising, while far more wanted child labor. So that's the comparison. So, because I know child labor is 70% want it axed or taken care of. I'm comparing that to business profits. So where's business profits? So it says far more wanted that taken care of than business profits. I wouldn't say 6 percentage points is far more, because it's the same exact amount saying no as well.
Yes, well, if you understand.
That's freaking tough.
Yeah. What? So the thing.
But that one would be. But that would be the thinking that I would model to try to show that, like, no.
Very few were in favor of Wait, we're on C?
Are we on C?
Are you still?
Yes, we know we're on C. Very few food and drug advertising.
So if we go to.
What was I just doing? Oh, I'm sorry. I was looking at the wrong one. Food and drug advertising. Yeah, that's extremely wrong.
Yeah, that's
Very
the opposite.
few.
If you mix the key up, you would think that was correct.
So that one should be no.
Large majorities figure regulating institutions such as railroads.
And one of the things we emphasized was the fact that these are the only things that Americans did not want to regulate at the time.
And
that shows
the trick, it's not even a trick, but the revelation I had is, because I didn't read the article, you can answer these questions.
This was,
I didn't feel inclined to, and I was like, let me see if I can do it without reading it, and I could, because literally all you needed was to understand the charts, which leads me to believe that the student misconception lies in their ability to analyze and pull information from this chart.
Yeah.
So when I was first approaching this, and you were saying like, hey, the data's not good, I'm like, crap, we need to like go through this whole standard. But what if we just focus in on like how to effectively read a chart like this? Because the end of module is this chart. It's a chart like this, a bar graph.
It's a trick, though.
The end of module is a trick.
Did you read that one? The first one?
So yeah, I have it up.
That's going to trip them up.
It says,
This one bothered me when I took it with Kim.
which sentence from the text is best supported by the graph from the passage?
And the answer is C.
Unemployment
However,
steadily increased. It took a little dip.
In those first couple of years. That's the answer. But so like a majority of that graph looks like a stegosaurus. It's going up and down, up and down.
Many people lost their jobs and poverty was a serious issue.
Yeah. So it's the fact that the others have no real bearing.
Yes, this is a little tricky.
Yeah. But
But
when you go to the next question, it's clear that that's cluing you in for
so B would
the date range to help you out. So it's almost like the date range in that second question can help confirm
the
answer
first
to
one,
the
which
first
is one of the strategies we talked about. Like if you can't get B,
letting the test tell on
yep.
itself.
So when we talk about our reteach for tomorrow, let me back up. So do we agree that if we had to stamp the misunderstanding kids had, it would be student mastery would improve if students could accurately pull information from charts and graphs?
Yes.
Okay, so then I looked at this and I thought about how, when you taught part 2 of lesson 30, how did you originally teach? Did you hone in on skill of reading graphs, or was it more broader?
Broader.
So tell me about those steps.
In that sense, it was just basically trying to hop paragraph to paragraph and compare the info you're getting in the paragraph to the graphs.
Okay, that makes
And that
sense.
seemed like way too much.
So y'all focused on more pulling information from the text.
Yeah, we went too wide and not deep.
Okay, great. So, spelling, mental. If we think about, we're just going to focus in on this specific skill for kids. I had an idea for you. So I went through all my resources. First, I want to illuminate. The item bank is it's not really helpful for this skill because they focus on text, across multiple text and images. Okay. What if we just you're going to love this, stay with these images, this article, because it doesn't require a thorough reread, the kids already have, but just shift the focus on what we're looking at. So I think if you're modeling it, when you remodel for them tomorrow, use the actual exit ticket.
Just reword it and change the choices.
You don't even need to reword it. You're going to use this because I gave them a whole different activity based on this. Like it's a whole different set of questions.
Okay.
And we'll get into it that. But when you present this exit ticket, what are the thinking steps that we need kids to employ when they're talking about how to effectively read charts and graphs that we need to drive home with them using this as a model? If you can give me 3 steps to how to pull information from a chart or graph.
Become that specific graph literate by learning how to read the key. Know what you're looking at.
I was going to say, do you want 3 minutes to think about it?
Nope.
Okay, so give me your first step again.
Understand the key. Graph key.
Look at the graph and find the key.
Yep.
Okay? So I'm looking, I found a key. Light means yes, dark means no. Next.
I would say look for trends and patterns.
Yes, and I think we can make this 6th grade appropriate to saying, like, what story is the graph telling you? So if I'm literally following your first step, looking at this key, it tells me that
a lot of people
use the key to determine the graph's story. You can say it that way. Story. So then you show that, I'm looking at this and I already know people thought the government should regulate all of these things based on the key. Great. Anything, after they do that, and what should they do? We're going to live in a world of testing.
Check each option against the information the graph is telling you.
So I think that's actually step 4. And there's a step that comes before that. Each option against the information that the graph. Ooh, look at us, our tier 2 words. Explain. Okay, so before we start, we need to do what? We've looked at the graph, found the key, determined the story, like kind of gave ourselves a little brief synopsis of what the story graph is saying. Then, before we even start checking the questions against each other, what do we need to do?
Yes. Okay.
Read the question. Excellent. I think these are really good steps, but we're about to test them. This is your model.
Yep.
You're putting this on the board. You better do your favorite thing. Take, how much time do you think you need to plan a little model you're about to do for me?
Cool. That was fun. I always enjoy that.
Where's my phone? Oops. No, I left it upstairs. Well, Slack is just probably burning up. Let me know.
What's that then?
Oh, gee. You think they caught that on camera? God, I was really looking for the one that we're recording with right now. It's embarrassing. We'll edit it out. So
You get multiple phones. It's an honest mistake.
I didn't
You
mean
get your
that.
burner. You get a couple
I
burners.
do have a burner phone. So using this, you're gonna do the model for me. Take 2 minutes to plan out your model, and then you're gonna get to. I'll be the student. Okay.
You'd be a good actor, but
I felt that.
because you could, like, the camera's not even there to you.
I felt that was once a calling of mine.
Yeah.
But go stop.
That was
You
alive
compliment
in this
too
moment.
much.
A fishbowl.
And remember, we're just gonna live in these your 4 steps. So if you need to. Oh, you ready? Oh, excuse me. Okay. You got good camera presence. Let's go to the board because you're gonna be up anyway. I'll switch it. Or maybe I won't. I won't. I don't know how to switch it, Jean.
You tap it.
Is this?
Oh, crap, you can't.
I don't know. Sorry. Just
So,
go.
yeah, it's not FaceTime, so you can
Just go. Okay.
look at us. Oldies. Okay.
You remember the steps?
No, wait.
Okay. You mean
Yes,
tell?
I do. No, I do. I can do it. All right, y'all. So, exit ticket the other day didn't go so well. We are going to dive in a little bit deeper to talk about how we can, when we're looking at graphs, we can make sure we get all the information we need out of it, and we make sure that we can eliminate the wrong answers right off the bat and figure out what the answer we need is going to be. So, first off, we're going to take a look at the graph, figure out what it's even telling us. That means we need to understand the key. So I'm going to look at the key right now. Okay, well, I know the light gray is yes, the black is no. And this is what the government should do to regulate these different things. We know regulate means to oversee.
So that one part about, like, you know the key, great. Now you just tell me your second. You're gonna figure out the graph story.
Okay,
I just like that line.
got it. Second, we're going to figure out what story or what patterns the graph is trying to show us. So what story is this graph telling us about how the American people felt about what government should do? You want to look at that and figure it out. All right. Step 3.
Wait, figure it out. Tell me the story.
Oh, sorry. Okay, so this seems like a lot of people wanted the government to do this. A little bit less wanted to do this, a little bit less wanted to do this, a little bit less wanted to do this. Seems like people really did not want the government to take control of these kind of things and manage them, but definitely yes. So the more no that I see, I know that people did not want the government to mess with it or take it over. The more yes I see, I know that the people wanted the government to protect them and try to manage those kind of things.
Yep, that's
So
it. They need that. Yep.
I'm going to look at my multiple choice here. Which of these statements best characterizes how the majority of these Americans polled by the research felt about government regulations during the Great Depression? I know majority means over 50%, so that'll help key me in. So I should be looking for something above 50, depending on whether it's yes or no, depending on what the options tell me. Now I'm going to go option to option and check. We'll start with D. Large majorities favored regulating institutions such as railroads and banks more so than industry or agriculture. Look at industry and agriculture, go railroads and banks. So favored regulating railroads and banks more than industry or agriculture. And this one says that 52% of people wanted the government to control industry and agriculture. Here with railroads and banks, 29 and 42. And this said more for railroads and banks. Railroads and banks are the lowest ones on here. Many more people said no than yes there. So I know that D is not an answer.
Great. I'm gonna pause you there for time. Good job, Jean. Come on back. I think what you did really well was that part about you said, I already know, like, over a majority, if I see a lot of light or a lot of yes, that means this. If I see a lot of no, that means that. Because I feel like that's something they struggle with. Now, so you go through this model. Then it's like, how are we going to give kids a fair at-bat at this type of question? Because it's very hard to find resources. So what I did, and I'll send this to you, is I made some answer choices. Some questions that I'll read to you. That should be pretty similar to what they'll see on the end of module and this. It's only like 3. So 2 of them, they need to just do in guided work, and then you can use 1 for exit ticket. So, which sentence below is best supported by the graph? 1930 Americans favored big government. So they'll have to look at the graph that says it's not any of these. It's like one of the ones that they didn't use. I feel like it's on this page. Yes. And then here are the answer choices. The majority of the Americans supported the government providing health for those in poverty, but didn't support giving money to social programs. Americans were strongly against covering medical care for new mothers, or all Americans agreed on giving money to new social security programs. Pretty literal if you don't understand how to read a graph. Then part B is like, explain why you selected your answer choice in part A. How do you feel about that question?
I like that. For exit ticket?
This is like one of their guided practice ones.
Okay.
I'm going to give you all three, and you can use them how you see fit.
Okay.
Then the other question says, which of these statements best characterizes how the majority of the American people polled by the Pew Research Center felt about the government taking over war munitions industry? And so they're going back to the graph they used in their previous exit ticket, and they're trying to basically, like, what is the story? So, yeah, so I'm going to give you these three questions, and literally we're just going to use this same text because it's very similar to what the kids are asking. I just need to tweak the third one more. I'll send this to you in a Word document, and you'll have them do the first two in partners, really go around Wrestling Monitor, try to clear up that misunderstanding with them understanding the graph, and then get a last one to them as exit ticket, which would probably be the one I just read because it's almost identical to the one they did before.
That sounds good to me.
Thank you for letting me. I know this was a bridged version, but we already know you're going to do this whole group.
Yeah.
So you're going to model to everyone. Everyone's going to do the activity. Yeah. Sorry we got a little behind because of the tornado drill, but y'all did so great in the drill. I was proud of y'all.
Thank you.
All right, Jean, I'm going to let you go get your kitties.
Thank you.
Have a good day.